I mean, like much of the rest of the National Economic Plan, all this should have been in the past and not in the future. But look, at the end of the day, we're finally getting there. In fact, the ship is going to be slightly delayed. It'll be arriving later in the evening.
So later in the evening instead of between 4 and 6?
That's right, yes. And we will start moving the next day, the stuff. And it will take 7 days to move all the modules. And the modules will be all laid out around the Rooke side, which is one of the problems we have here, the problem of space, The advantages of moving these things is that you need a lot of space in order to have it all. And they are all sort of numbered like pieces of Lego. So I think everything has to slot in a particular place.
Of course. I mean,
clearly, there's going to be noise and disruption over
the.
But I need people to understand.
Well, you've taken measures to minimise the impact to traffic, but nonetheless, it's happening in the overnight hours, the silent hours. Has noise been factored into those plans?
Well, look, it's unavoidable. The only thing is that the disruption and the noise and the disturbance that people will have to put up with for a week is not for people to make more money, as much of the other projects are. This is for our own people, and for our own people because, like every other country in Europe, we've got an aging population because luckily we're all living longer. I'm going to be 84 this year. So, we are getting more men reaching 80s and 90s than ever before. The male population used to really, last until the 60s or the 70s, and then that was it. So the residential home is not a nursing home, but it is the stage when people have got a problem in looking after themselves on their own. The kids have grown up, they've got maybe a bigger flat, and therefore we've got a waiting list of 330.
So the interest is there.
So from that waiting list, we'll have 280 rooms. In effect, what we're doing is the rooms are already finished. The tower is up. It will take us about 4 weeks to slot them all in place. And then the envelope of the building, which has got 2 layers to make it waterproof and fireproof and all the things, all British standard, I have to say. And we've got Gibraltarians that will be working on the side to learn from people with experience that are coming out from UK. So the sister company in the UK, which is the international company that has a headquarters in China, the international one has got its headquarters in Manchester. The Manchester company and the Gibraltar government company are the owners of the joint venture. The English craftsmen that are coming out have got a lot of experience of doing this in the UK, and they will be teaching our people how to do it.
So, Joe, 2 questions. You mentioned that important one, fire safety regulations. Will be meeting British standards.
Absolutely.
It's been in the news in the recent years, British standards and fire safety. Do these meet the latest requirements?
Well, yeah. Look, this is not the cladding that have been put in places in London, This is something that in fact, we've gone. It's impossible to go further to make sure that everything goes right. Because look, for us, this is a pioneering project, and we've not skimped on cost. It's still come out at a very competitive price. That means this is going to be privately owned, so it's going to be a profitable investment for people, and it means that the government will actually be able, because there are economies of scale, to house more people at a lower cost per unit. So there will be a saving to the government as well in the government's budget in looking after the elderly. So I'm contributing as well to my other hat, to my other role, which is to restore government's financial stability and gradually move away from being in a deficit situation to getting back to a surplus situation, which is absolutely vital, because there is no future for us if we cannot pay our way. That is the first consideration we have to have as a government. But we cannot just do it by stopping doing things. Our people need things, and they have to be done. And therefore, we have to think outside the box, be imaginative, and deliver the goods at a way that doesn't increase the public cost.
Public cost.
And I think this ticks the boxes.
So, Joe, one important one there. You said, I think it was 280 homes it will provide. The level of interest is there. The expression of interest declared by many. It's been in the news lately as well. Action for housing, the need for more rental accommodation. Government says these new homes will release government stock. You have the level of interest. Do you have a figure for us in terms of how many of those homes will be released? Mr. Bina does mention that some people move out, but the children... stay with the home.
We've got 330 people on the waiting list, the bulk of whom are living in government rented accommodation, right? So, in effect, I mean, in some of these cases, there's a kind of an escalator. So there might be, some pensioners who are living with a 3-bedroom, and if they move here, they release a 3-bedroom, and then there are the people who are waiting for a 3-bedroom, which release a 2-bedroom. So it's not just that one movement leads to one, it can escalate. It depends on the actual composition of the 330 applicants. We won't be able to accommodate them all, but we'll make a big hole. I mean, it would have taken many, many years for all the 330 to have been re-accommodated in this kind of thing. This will have on every floor a dining area and a small kitchenette, and then there is a bigger kitchen and a restaurant on the top floor, because the idea is that we want also that the families of the elderly who come over to visit them will actually be able to eat with them in the restaurant.
Socializing in the communal spaces.
So, there will be a room for doctors to come in from it's only, a 5-minute walk from the hospital to see people who need medical attention. There's a laundry inbuilt in it, which will be a separate business. So,
Joe, we'll keep an eye on developments over the next week. And silent hours is happening. The silent hours, we can't promise, but we might hear from people as well. So we'll be reporting on that as well.
I know that this is going to upset some of the people. All I ask them to do is to remember the solidarity that we've always had in Gibraltar, right? And therefore, this is for a good cause. And it's a week. And we'll have to put up with it for 1 week, and then we'll see the fruits of that for many years to come.